Sarah, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, please stand and place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
the United States
and
of America,
to the republic
for which it stands,
under God,
a nation under God,
liberty,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sarah. Will you now take roll call of the Planning Commission?
Yes, Commissioner Garcia. Is she muted? I'm sorry, Commissioner
Norma, are you
Garcia.
muted?
She is, and she was muted. We have unmuted her, so we'll try again. Commissioner Garcia.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Morrissey.
Here.
Commissioner Nguyen.
Here.
Commissioner Fan.
Here.
Commissioner Rivera.
Here.
Vice Chair Contreras-Leo.
Present.
And Chair McLaughlin.
Here.
Chair, you have quorum.
Thank you. I now would invite the Commission Secretary to describe the way the public can access this virtual meeting.
Thank you. This meeting is being live streamed via YouTube at www.youtube.com/cityofsantaanavideo/live and to our website at www.santa-ana.org/cc/city-meetings. While the meeting is in progress, the public may provide a comment by phone. To comment by phone, please dial 1-669-900-9128. Enter meeting ID 315-965-149 followed by pound. When prompted for a participant ID, enter pound. When the item that you would like to comment on is being discussed, please dial *9. When the comment period is opened, I will call on you by the last 3 numbers listed on the caller ID. When you are called on, please state your name, your position on the matter, and your comment. You will have 3 minutes. I will alert you when your time is up. Chair, back to you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We will move on to public comments for non-agenda items. Does anyone like to speak on a non-agenda item?
If you'd like to speak on a non-agenda item, please dial *9 now. I'll wait a few seconds to see if we have anyone who's raised their hand. Chair, we do not have anyone who would like to speak on non-agenda items.
Okay, hearing none, we will close the public comments and we will move on to the consent calendar. With respect to the consent calendar, I'd like to have a motion on the minutes from the last regularly scheduled meeting. Would anybody like to make a motion?
I move so.
Commissioner Rivera, second. Commissioner Rivera, second. Okay. Madam Secretary, we take a roll call on the approval of the minutes.
Yes. Commissioner Garcia.
Aye.
Commissioner Morrissey.
Aye.
Commissioner Nguyen.
Aye.
Commissioner Fan.
Aye.
Commissioner Rivera.
Aye.
Vice Chair Contreras-Leo.
Aye.
Chair McLaughlin.
Aye.
Motion passes by unanimous consent.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. At this point, this is the end of the consent calendar. We will now move to the business calendar with regards to public. I would like to talk about the protocols with respect to public hearing. I will now review the process for the public hearing so that everyone knows what to expect. Staff will provide a presentation and answer questions from the Commission. The public hearing will be open. The applicant will be given the opportunity to speak and limited to 15 minutes. Members of the public will be given the opportunity to comment, limited to 3 minutes. The applicant will then be given an opportunity to respond to the comments made by the public, limited to 5 minutes. Public hearing will then be closed. discussion will return to the Commission with formal action taken to approve, conditionally approve, deny, or continue review of the application. Please consider the following suggestions when organizing your comments. A, please state your name and address. B, state whether you support, oppose, or are neutral on the proposal. C, your statement should include all pertinent facts within your knowledge. Avoid gossip, emotion, or repetition. A clear, concise, non-repetitive argument is most effective. Moving on to the business calendar. This is the time and place to consider item number 1, conditional use permit 2020-14 for the property located at 104 East 4th Street. Please note the decision on this matter is final unless appealed within 10 days. Do any of the commissioners have anything to disclose at this point in time with regards to this item?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, that was Norma. Tom Morrissey?
That was Cynthia.
That was Cynthia?
Nothing, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Brenda Wynn?
Not for me, thank you.
Felix?
No.
Ty Fan?
No.
Norma Garcia?
No.
Okay, I do not have anything. So please note the decision on this matter is final unless appealed within 10 days. And staff, Fernando, are you going to be presenting for us tonight?
My name is Fernanda. Sorry.
Fernanda?
Yes.
Boy, no, don't be upset. I have to say sorry.
Well, thank you, Chairman. Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. As mentioned, up for discussion tonight is conditional use permit number 2020-14 for El Rincón Mexicano. It's located at 104 East 4th Street. This applicant is requesting the approval of the conditional use permit to allow the after-hours operation of an existing restaurant until 2 a.m. daily. El Rincón Mexicano is located at the southeast corner of Main and 4th Street. It is located within the Transit Zoning Code SD 84, and it is surrounded by other commercial uses. The closest sensitive land use is multifamily residential. However, it is located 730 linear feet away from El Rincón Mexicano. This slide shows the site plan of the property, and the photo shows the restaurant as it appears today. The restaurant will continue to provide a service to residents and visitors of the area. It is consistent with approval of similar downtown restaurants. Conditions of approval and standards in the Santa Ana Municipal Code will address any potential negative impacts. With that, staff recommends approval of conditional use permit 2020-14 as conditioned. I'd be happy to answer any questions if the commissioners have any.
Okay, thank you, Fernanda. And we'll start with Commissioner Garcia. Do you have any questions of staff?
Okay.
Commissioner Garcia?
No question.
Thank you. Commissioner Morrissey?
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Nguyen?
No question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Rivera?
No questions at this time.
Commissioner Fan?
No, none at this time. Thank you.
Vice Chair Contreras-Leo?
Yes, I'd like to know how many other restaurants in that area are open till 2 a.m. on 4th Street.
Just one moment.
Thank you.
Apologies.
Commissioner, this is Ali speaking. There are a handful of restaurants in the area that are open until 2 a.m., including, I believe, Worst House down the street at 4th Street and French. and I believe several other restaurants along 4th Street, including, I believe, a vacation bar, that's correct. That's another one, and a handful of others. But if you'd like a list, we could certainly provide one for you.
No, I just wanted to get an idea of the ambiance that's being created. You know, if there's others that are open till 2, then people that are out and about, and during the times that we're living in right now with COVID, if people can be outdoors, that would be great. Do you know if they're going to be having any outdoor seating?
They currently provide outdoor sitting with a tent. So they currently provide outdoor sitting with a tent. I visited the site probably like 2 weeks ago, and everybody was sitting outside.
So, excuse me, and maybe I'm just naive to what I'm going to ask, but do they need special permission to have people outside sitting and drinking? Because that's not what they were set up for before, or because of the circumstances we're in, it's acceptable.
Commissioner, normally a business would require special approvals through the conditional use process to allow outdoor dining and outdoor sale of alcohol, but given the governor's orders and the city's recent executive orders that allow outdoor dining without really any permit process, a restaurant like El Rincon would be allowed to have that sort of setup.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, my question was basically the same. I was wondering who were some of the other people around there. With regards to housing within, you said something like 750 feet, where would that housing be located as far as apartments? Is it on the southeast corner of Main and 4th Street?
The restaurant is located at the corner of 4th and Main, but the multifamily residences are they're a little bit further north from that location.
Okay.
So they wouldn't be affected by the noise they might cause.
Okay.
Sorry, this is Commissioner Rivera. I have a question. If you
Sure,
have
go ahead.
So I know we have First American that's going to pop up right on that corner as well, right? I mean, is that going to affect that 2 a.m. business? Something staying open till 2 a.m. We're probably going to have literally across the street is going to be apartments that are probably going to be open to that area. Would that be affected, or have we taken that into consideration?
I mean, there are currently restaurants that are already open that late, so I don't think it would have a negative effect. I think the conditions that we provided would mitigate any negative effect.
Okay, thank you. And as far as the 2 a.m., are they going to require a permit to do stuff like play live music or anything like that during that time? Is that required, or is that do they not need to come back for that?
Yeah, they need to come back for a special permit for live entertainment.
Okay, so that's something that they would need to come back to us for.
Yes.
Do they have live entertainment now?
I think they've pulled permits like land use certificates, but I don't think they do that as of now.
No, I think so. I think the question that Felix is asking is with regards to entertainment. Entertainment is usually handled through the PD, and the question is, do they have live music now under the current conditions? And if they do, then do they have a permit for that? And moving forward, are they going to need a permit for 2 a.m.? And is it going to be live music at 2 a.m.?
So, Chair, the current permit that they have now, they have a Category 3 permit, which allows them to have live entertainment up until 12 a.m.
Right. Okay. They have a category. They have Category 3 right now.
Right. If the Planning Commission approves at 2 a.m., they would have to come back to the city, and it's through administrative review by the planning staff for a Category 4, and they would have to come back to obtain a Category 4 permit.
Okay, so they will have to get a permit for Category 4.
Correct.
I mean, that's what Felix was trying to articulate there.
Yes, thank you.
All right, Felix, we're good.
Yes, we're good.
All right. Okay. Any other comments? I'll go through the list quickly. Any other comments on this item with staff? Commissioner Garcia.
No.
Commissioner Morrissey.
No further comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Nguyen.
No, thank you.
Commissioner Rivera.
No, none of this time.
Commissioner Fan.
Hi, yes. Thank you, Commissioner Rivera, for bringing up a really good point regarding live entertainment. My question is, have we been getting complaints, or have we gotten complaints from nearby residents or businesses regarding loud noises late at night in the area?
From what PD provided me, no.
Okay, because I know, we have some businesses that open late, and then we get a lot of residents who complain about the loud noise. I do see that one of the conditions of approval is that noise and music cannot be audible beyond 20 feet from the area. Would code enforcement or a PD be responsible for enforcing that, or would it be, complaint driven?
Yeah, PD would be responsible. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you did fine. That was second.
Yeah, PD and code enforcement would take care of that. They would enforce.
Okay, and just for my own edification, if a business or organization is, in violation of their ordinance or conditions of approval, I imagine the first step is some type of warning. And how many violations would there be before they're no longer, or we think about taking away their CUP?
So, Fernando, let me answer that. In terms of enforcement, obviously, many of our enforcement are complaint-driven, and as we verify the complaints, we will go through the process of evaluating to what extent and what level is the impact. Often, as you are correct, we will provide notice and go through the due process and citations. But in extreme cases, we can move forward with requisitions for revocation of conditional use permit. However, in this case, beyond those levels of enforcement that we have through our municipal code, there is a requirement for a maintenance agreement as a condition of approval, and this maintenance agreement is part of Condition 10 and allows for the city to have conditional provision and contract right to address property maintenance, even nuisance issues, and we're able to address that immediately through the agreement rather than having to address it through the code enforcement process, which could take quite a bit of time. So we have quite a bit of tools available to the city to address future impacts from this location should they become a nuisance.
Great, I really appreciate that. No more questions. Thank you.
Vice Chair Contreras-Leal. Vice Chair Contreras-Leto.
Sorry, I needed to unmute myself. No more questions. Thank you.
Okay, I have no further questions of staff. With that, we'll move on to, Madam Secretary, have we received any written communication on this item?
Yes, 2 letters in support were received, and those were distributed to the commission and are posted on our website for review.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. The public hearing will now be open. Would the applicant like to speak on this matter?
Call on him. Call on him. Yeah, call on the applicant.
Carlos?
Sí, buenas tardes.
So let them know they're going to be.
¿Quiere mostrar algún comentario para su permiso?
Oh, sí, nada más estaba hablando de que si ojalá y le dieran la oportunidad para este caso. Ha sido muy difícil atravesar esta situación y estamos tratando de mantener a los empleados activos. Y si nos ayudaran a obtener ese permiso, estaríamos contactando a personas más de Santana para que bajen el desempleo ahorita. En realidad, sí, estamos tristes de todo lo que está pasando, pero ojalá nos den la oportunidad de este permiso.
Okay, gracias. So the applicant is saying that through these hard times, he would really appreciate if we approved his permit because due to the current circumstances, he has lost some business and money. So this would provide more money for him.
Okay. That's the complete translation?
The complete translation.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about what he said.
All right, that's fine. Does the commission have any questions of the applicant at this point in time?
No.
We'll start with Commissioner Garcia.
None at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Morrissey.
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Nguyen.
No question. Thank you.
Commissioner Rivera.
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Fan.
None, thank you.
Vice Chair Contreras-Leo.
No, thank you.
Okay, I have no questions of the applicant. At this point in time, we'll open up the public hearing. Does anyone else want to speak to the commission on this item?
If you'd like to comment on this item, please press star 9 now. We'll wait a couple seconds. We have, we do not have anyone that would like to speak on this item, Chair.
Okay, with that, the public hearing is closed, and we will now bring it back to the commission for a recommendation. Does anyone want to comment on this at this point in time? Commissioner Garcia?
No comment.
Commissioner Morrissey?
No comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Nguyen?
No comment. I'd like to make a recommendation to approve the condition, the permit as the condition.
Second.
Okay, and we have a second?
Yes. Contreras, Leo.
Okay, good. So, given that we have a motion, I'm just going to go through and just say, Commissioner Fan, do you have any questions or any comments?
No, I just think that this is a great opportunity for us to expand our revenue sources in the city. I'm glad that the business is going strong, and that I hope, as we open later for this business, that we comply with all of our conditions and ensure that, we're all good neighbors and doing everything we can to help each other out. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Fan. At this point in time, we have a motion, we have a second on the table. No further comments. I'd like to...
I'm sorry, it's Commissioner Rivera. I have a comment.
Oh, go ahead, please.
I'm looking through the conditions, and I'm trying to see. My only concern, like I said, was going to be something directly across, being built directly across from the restaurant. And I think, like always, our concern is always live entertainment, and that kind of like turning into a nightclub type thing. And I would hate for a development that's going to come up to have something like that we approved prior to, and we're not taking that really into consideration. I'm looking through the conditions, and maybe we can have something along the lines of like soundproofing, maybe either the inside or if they have some type of glass that could maybe soundproof. I know we worked on stuff like this with, I think it was Culichi Town that was having the issue with the back residents that were, it was very loud inside, right, even though they were inside and they had a band playing. Just the beat of the drum is just so much louder than when you would have something like, say, a DJ playing or something, or just live music, or other type of music. I mean, and I'm not seeing anything in the conditions as far as some type of soundproofing. I mean, I think we should take that into consideration, so that when we have that development built, or we have that going, that isn't something that takes people away from wanting to live in that area.
Fair enough. Let me ask the question, just to go back to staff for a minute. With respect to existing housing, is that the existing housing that's within 750 feet of this restaurant?
No.
Okay, so it's proposed housing. And which project is it with regards to proposed housing?
American Title.
So it's Toll Brothers.
Toll Brothers, yes.
Okay. And is there any other project that's in the vicinity from a housing perspective? I mean, this is 4th and Main. We know that there's going to be a project on 3rd and Broadway.
Chairman, I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question, please?
The proposed project at 3rd and Broadway that we're looking at right now. Commissioner, if I can offer a perspective, this is a downtown environment in an area that we have pre-existing businesses that are open to 2 a.m. As part of the downtown atmosphere. I think we have adequate conditions that would address these type of issues. In addition to that, our code noise ordinance is pretty strict in terms of having the ability to identify noise sources and address noise through our enforcement process. The unit itself is located in between buildings, and any installation that is addressed with noise, I think, can be addressed with the current development as is, and we allow the business to work through the expansion and the hours, and through the independent permit, you will be able to address their concerns or noise concerns, period, and ensure that their operation is compliant with code requirements. I think the soundproofing that.
Mr. Chairman, may I? Can I make a comment?
Chairman?
This is Norma.
Yes.
This is Norma, if I may.
We got 3 different voices here.
Commissioner.
Who's talking now?
Norma.
Norma, go ahead, Norma.
May I
Thank
proceed?
you.
I just want to thank Mai for bringing that perspective and balance. It's very close to what I was going to say, which is, when people, and this is, I'm newer to the commission, but what I've heard consistently from developers and from, members of the commission and staff is that we are creating a vibrant downtown. And I think when people choose to live there, they have to understand that this is what they're choosing to step into. And while it's a balance to be stricken, I think that I appreciate it. I think that you've addressed that issue, and it's important to maintain that perspective, which is, we do have a choice, and if we're going into downtown, that's exactly the kind of environment that we're seeking, both as a resident and as somebody who's going to patronize the businesses.
So yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, Commissioner Rivera. I agree with that. Is people moving into the downtown for that reason. My only concern is going to be the live entertainment. And I understand that right now they already have live entertainment. They would need to come back if they want something past 12 o'clock. But I know I mean, I think it's Mariscos Hector that's maybe a couple blocks away from here. We get complaints all the time about how loud that music is, and that's also in the downtown. But we always get complaints about that, and right now this is something that we can work on, maybe putting some type of condition prior to approving it. That's my only thing, because we hear it all the time with the one off Broadway, the Hector's off of Broadway, and that's 2 blocks away, I would say.
Mr. Chairman,
I think Felix's point. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I completely understand Felix, and I'm in agreement, because I'm sure those that voted for Hector to have entertainment didn't foresee the issues that came later. So, no foul, no harm. And I think, Felix, it's a great point, and we've experienced, unhappy neighbors. And if we can be proactive, and perhaps if it's a reasonable request to put in the language that check in 6 months after the Toll Brothers have rented out, after there's occupancy, and I don't know how much occupancy we're talking about, but maybe 6 months after, let's just check in. Let's see how it's going. Let's see if there's any complaints, because right now they're only up to midnight. We don't know if we're the ones that are going to be on the Planning Commission later when it comes to be expanded to 2 a.m. So I think if we can put some parameters in there now to check in and see how it's going 6 months after occupancy, there's no harm in that, and it's being a good community responsible. So I'd like to add, that's what I would propose to add.
No, Mr. Chairman, may I have a comment?
Yeah, hang on. Hold on 1 second, Ken. I just want to. Was that you, Norma, that made that comment?
It was Cynthia.
That was Cynthia.
Oh, Cynthia. Okay, fine. Sorry. All right, go ahead, Ken.
The reason why I propose to approve this conditional use permit and XNL, because the objective of city believe that we would like to promote the promotion of the downtown businesses and help the downtown become lively. Right now, most of the people who go downtown Santa Ana, it's pretty slow. This is very slow, especially very quiet at night. I believe the restaurant does not allow entertainment outdoor, only the indoor. And I believe that the city set enough, a guideline and regulation that they minimize the sales of the entertainment at this particular restaurant. I do not believe that the city would allow outdoor sound or any kind of amplified sound or entertainment at all, only for indoor. Is that correct, Ty?
That is correct. And condition number 4 addresses the noise issue. And the standard of 20 feet from the exterior of the premises is a very, basically it's that standard means that you would have to be, the noise would have to be a nuisance at 20 feet. It's just a pretty strict standard to comply with. So we have an ability to address noise through a very strict standard. And it's a condition in part of number 4 of the conditions of approval.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think, but let's put it in perspective and say that I think that what Commissioner Rivera is trying to say is he wants to make sure that the band and the sound of the band is in the restaurant, not in the living room of somebody's apartment. And I think that the challenge has been that unfortunately the precedent from Hector's perspective on Broadway has not made it an easy situation when it comes to noise, because there have been many complaints relative to Hector's over the past couple of years, and so I think that on one side we have to get business back on its feet because of what's been going on with the pandemic. I think the other side is that from Felix's perspective, I think you want to make a friendly amendment with respect to noise level and noise control and how we go about measuring that and checking that in the future.
Correct, Chair. I'm just, I'm trying to think, as far as ahead, where we can do something to try to mitigate that sound problem, the complaints that we hear from the Hector side a lot. And it's not to say that, they're going to do anything similar, but if we're able to stop something or try to, say, I think we did it, the Hector's off of Maine, where we talked about, soundproofing the walls and some type of, windows and stuff like that, just to kind of like mitigate that sound. And we had the same thing with when we talked about Culichi Town, where they did something similar for the same reasons, because we were talking about Hector's as well. But, those are my only things. I mean, I would hate for in the future us to be dealing with the same thing that we're already dealing with now, when we could try to do something about it today.
Okay, I mean, so can you put together in your words what you believe the friendly amendment to be at this point in time?
I would need to look at what we put last time, but something along the lines of soundproofing walls for like noise control, and if there's some type of windows that we can use for soundproofing in those, in something along those lines, I think would be great. Okay.
Can I ask a question about
yes,
that?
You can. Who's this?
And maybe this is Norma.
Thanks, Norma.
Is there an issue? Would this be cost prohibitive? And are we talking about, in order for them to operate or to have live entertainment past midnight, they would have to do this? I'm just concerned that in light of the current economic climate, we may not be helping them at all in terms of proceeding and expanding their operations.
Agree. I think that your amendment, Felix, was to basically say, if necessary, we would do these things. I mean, it's not that. I mean, I don't think you're saying that they have to do the soundproofing and everything else if it is not an issue. You're asking to have the latitude to be able to enforce that necessary soundproofing if there is an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that anything that would get us to that end goal would be good. I mean, whether it's having them do it now or having them do it when we check back in 6 months. If it has been a problem, then we can talk about implying it or something along those lines. I'm just trying to think of how we can. I mean, I'm all for development and having these businesses going and doing some more stuff, especially right now. But I just don't want to be careless about it because we're in we're in this situation and just kind of like let things go that we usually wouldn't type thing.
Well, if I may suggest, I think earlier. Yes, this is Min. Earlier, Vice Chair Contreras Leo made, I think, is a good recommendation on a condition that would allow a review after the Toll Brother has opened the complex and the development. And I think 6 months is an appropriate period. So that is a great way of reviewing whether or not the project, if they go.
Then I have a concern. I have a concern on that statement only from the standpoint, if you said to me today, Toll Brothers, when will Toll Brothers be opening their doors to take on tenants?
Well, it would be conditions upon 6 months after occupancy.
I know, but what that does is, to me, I think I'm going to bring back Felix into this conversation and say what he's looking for is we give this 2 a.m. UP to the restaurant, and if there's noise issues now, we want those addressed at this point in time. If due to the fact that in the future when Toll Brothers open, we're asking to have another check 6 months after what would be considered the adequate occupancy of the Toll Brother building. I'm just looking at this as we're speaking today, August 10th, 2020, I'm guessing the Toll Brothers building probably won't be finished until 2022.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Cynthia.
Yes, go ahead. Cynthia.
I think we're making it a little complicated. At this time, El Rincon appears to not have complaints. At this time, they already have live entertainment till midnight. They would have to come back and request, license 4 to go till midnight, to 2 a.m. So if that were to come back, we would have to reassess at that time and see what's going on. But let's say they don't come back for that, and the Toll Brothers already has been built out, and then they come back with that. I mean, I think today what we're dealing with is they're trying to get more business. But looking forward to what Felix proposed, I think is great, and it's looking forward is if anything happens in between now and the 6 months after the occupancy of the Toll Brothers project, we already have something in place. But if they come in between and ask for the revision of the time to have live music, then we'll deal with it at that time. But at least we have something in place 6 months after occupancy. So perhaps we don't even see El Rincon in front of the commission until then, if need be.
But today's
there are no
request
complaints
is
now.
But today's request is 2 a.m.
You're correct. I'm sorry. 2 a.m., but it's indoors. It's not outdoors, and there's nobody. So do you want to come back in six months or a year to see how they're doing?
Let me clarify. I want to clarify that approval of conditional use permit to allow after-hours operation of an existing restaurant until 2 a.m. daily. There's nothing that says anything regarding indoors or outdoors.
Men, are they going to be allowed to be outdoors with music?
No, outdoor music is not a permissible activity under our current code, nor is it permissible under the executive order.
So not now and not 6 months after.
So it's a 2 a.m. We're asking for a CUP for 2 a.m. and it's indoors. And so let's circle back to what we just talked about with Felix and Toll Brothers and review of noise. I mean, right now Hector's on Broadway, if I'm not mistaken, on Broadway, Hector's is indoors, but you can't help but drive by with your windows up and hear the music blasting out of that restaurant. That's all the concern is.
Mr. Chairman, back to our other commissioners' comments, this is an entertainment area. I mean, if you're out at 1 o'clock in the morning down 4th Street, it's because you're looking for a bite and something that's open and entertainment. So I think that right now there are no complaints for music till midnight. We don't have houses behind El Rincon like Hector's on Main Street has. That was probably the biggest issue, is that they are like 5 feet away from each other. But if there's no complaints now, and we're going to 2 a.m., and there are no people that are living in front of them, but we put a provision for after Toll Brothers has built and has occupancy, I think that's being responsible to check in and say, hey, are there complaints? What's going on?
Don't disagree. To me, that's part of the friendly amendment. I think that the only comment I'm making is, and I believe Felix is making, is in the time frame from the time we issue from the time frame that the conditional use permit is issued for 2 a.m. and understanding it's a downtown area, is there anything that has to be done until the Toll Brothers? And I'm just looking at it to say that it's a 2-year period or a 3-year period or a 1-year period. I'm not sure how long it's going to take Toll Brothers to finish their project. So all I'm asking for is what checks and balances do we have? And I think Min's saying the checks and balances are in the city at this point in time from a standpoint of code enforcement. Is that correct?
We have both code enforcement and we have a condition requiring the recordation of a private property maintenance agreement with Roy we can use to address noise issues immediately and more effectively to address any amplified noise concerns. I want to provide a little clarity as to the live entertainment. The Category 3 permit is because their current hours is up to 12. The Category 4 is to allow the same level of activities until after hours. The live entertainment permit, and Vince, if you can chime in on this, is an administrative review by staff and conditions are placed so that they're consistent with the conditional use permit. Is that correct?
That's correct. And consistent with the Muni Code as well. Correct.
So you have several mechanisms to address noise, but I think if the commission feels that there is a review after after 6 months, even after 6 months of operation, and it doesn't have to come at a little later point. We can have a 6 month review when they implement the 2 a.m. Live entertainment permit. We can come back and review in 6 months and evaluate the noise issues at that point in time. I will still give you an opportunity to address it.
Is that okay from your standpoint, Felix? And
yeah, I mean, as long as we have something, I think what Cynthia brought up as far as 6 months after occupancy with the Toll Brothers, I think would be good, at least to be able to look into what it's like. And as far as I know, most of these all these permits and stuff is for indoor, but currently I think with all the COVID stuff going on, they've been allowed to operate outside, because I know a lot of these have live music playing outside currently, even like the Culichi Towns and the Hectors and all those are currently playing live music outdoors.
No, that is not. If they're doing it, it's not. It's in violation of city noise standards.
Okay, because I've gotten some of those complaints from people saying that there is plenty of it, and I have seen it as well. Playing outdoors, and that's live music outdoors, which we already know is louder than when you have a DJ or something along those lines. Just because it's live music. So rather than indoors, so that's just another. That's just the kind of things that I'm struggling with for this permit. I mean, I understand that we haven't had any issues with Ed Lincoln, and they've been doing it since they've been doing it till midnight, and we haven't had any issues. But I'm just trying to think further ahead. I mean, that's all. But I do agree with what Cynthia brought up as far as 6 months after occupancy with the Toll Brothers.
Okay. So, do we accept the friendly amendment from Felix?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I do accept the friendly amendment from the Vice Chair Cynthia.
Okay, Felix is the one that I believe. Oh well, you can take it from Vice Chair. Sure, fine.
Yeah, Cynthia. Yeah.
Cynthia, so it's a friendly amendment from Cynthia. You good with that, Felix?
Chair?
Yes, I'm good with that.
For clarification, so staff is crystal clear, can you please restate the friendly amendment so we can take that verbatim, please?
Cynthia,
and then we will ask... I'm sorry, Chair, and then Fernando will translate that to the applicant to make sure that he accepts that friendly amendment as well.
Okay.
So if you can go ahead with the friendly amendment, and I'll take that down, and then we'll go over to the applicant.
Felix, would you like to state the friendly amendment? It was your idea.
Yeah, so it was. I mean, it's kind of your work, but it was six months after occupancy. Have some type of checking in with Toll Brothers and whoever's occupying that. To look into considering, I guess, what the 2 o'clock thing looks like.
So what I would recommend is that there would be a staff review of the noise evaluation based on feedback from neighboring properties 6 months after occupancy of Toll Brothers. Correct? That's
correct.
Thank you.
Carlos?
Is there can I ask a question about this? Oh, go ahead, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to translate to the applicant.
Yeah, go ahead, please, go ahead.
Thank you. Carlos? ¿Me escucha?
Sí, sí, lo escucho.
Están diciendo los commissioners que que va a haber un amendment a su permiso. Querían revisar si se puede que revisemos cuánto ruido hay en su negocio 6 meses después de que sea aprobado.
No. That's not what it is. Yeah. La enmienda es 6 meses después de que haya cupos de residentes en el edificio que donde se van a construir viviendas en lo que ahorita es the American Title Building.
¿Dónde está la UCI y el COR?
Creo que sí está ahí. Está en la esquina, es el edificio blanco. Ahí se van a hacer como apartamentos.
Oh, ok, porque te pidieron los soportes que me mandó Ryan Child, mandó una carta apoyándola. También el señor de LGR Profiles y también otro doctor que se llama Norbert.
Entonces, ¿sí acepta que revisemos su negocio por el nivel de ruido en 6 meses después de que ocupen ese edificio?
Ok, entonces sería un permiso provisional y en 6 meses se volvería
a recalcular. Solamente.
No, that's not true. It's not a provisional permit.
Well, we're going to
ask if it's a provisional permit.
But we're going to.
Señor, the 2 a.m. is not provisional. Lo que están haciendo es poniendo idioma, lenguaje, dándole permiso hasta las 2 de la mañana ahorita. Pero hasta que se construye el proyecto donde está el American Title, ese edificio, después que esté construido y que ya la gente esté viviendo allí, 6 meses después de eso, quieren hablar con usted y con los vecinos ahí para ver cómo está el nivel de ruido de la música, nomás para ser buenos vecinos. Pero eso es hasta entonces que ya está el edificio allí.
Ok, pero ahorita sí sería aprobado hasta las 2 de la mañana.
Sí.
Ok, muchas gracias. Entonces no van a tener ninguna queja de parte de nosotros. Porque estamos echando ganas y estamos tratando de salir adelante y haciendo las cosas como deben de ser.
Claro, así que está de acuerdo usted.
Sí, se van a hacer ahorita profesional de 6 meses y ya en 6 meses van a hablar conmigo dependiendo de los nuevos vecinos y tienen una casa nueva.
Sí. Okay. He's in agreement with adding that language, and after the Toll Brothers has occupancy 6 months after that to check in with him and the neighbors in regards to the noise level.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia.
You're welcome.
All right, hearing no other comments from the commission, I'll go through the list real quick. Garcia? Morrissey?
I just have a quick question,
Go ahead.
if I may.
Yes, sure.
So I was looking at the condition of approval number 4, and it seems to me it's very stringent. Essentially, no noise shall be audible beyond 20 feet from the exterior of the premises.
Right.
So before this next review, 6 months after Toll Brothers, so say there is noise and there are complaints, what are the our options at that point? I know we've talked about code enforcement, but is that an administrative action, or Does that come back to us for reevaluation?
Ultimately, the Planning Commission has the ability, through staff, to initiate the conditional use permit revocation process if they were found to be in non-compliance and are not taking actions to bring themselves into compliance.
And we also have remedies. I'm sorry. We also have remedies under the property maintenance agreement and administrative citation.
Okay.
So ultimately, Tom, if it does go through in that respect as a complaint, it does come back to the Planning Commission for review.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Nguyen?
No comment.
Commissioner Rivera?
No comment.
Commissioner Fan?
No comment, thank you.
Vice Chair Contreras-Leo?
No comment.
I have no comment, so at this point, I'd like to have Madam Secretary do a roll call vote.
Okay, Commissioner Garcia.
Aye.
Commissioner Morrissey.
Aye.
Commissioner Nguyen.
Aye.
Commissioner Rivera.
Aye.
Commissioner Fan.
Aye.
Vice Chair Contreras-Leo.
Aye.
And Chair McLaughlin.
Aye.
Motion passes by unanimous consent.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. This is the time and place to consider item number 2, conditional use permit number 2020-16 for the property located at 1641 East St. Andrews Place. Please note the decision on this matter is final unless appealed within 10 days. Before we begin, do any of the commissioners have anything that they would wish to disclose at this point in time regarding this item? Commissioner Garcia.
No.
Commissioner Morrissey.
Nothing to disclose. Thank you.
Commissioner Nguyen.
No, thank you.
Commissioner Rivera.
No, none.
Commissioner Fan.
No.
Vice Chair Contreras-Leo.
No.
I have nothing to disclose at this point in time. With that, staff, Kathy, are you going to be presenting?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Kathy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Chair and members of the Planning Commission. So next item is item number 2. It is Spectrum Wine, CUP for ABC Sales. The conditional use permit number 2020-16. The project is located at 1641 East St. Andrew Place. And this is a new establishment that is, and the use is a new establishment which stores, wine, high-end retail wines, distilled spirits, and beers, along with warehousing and retail sales and instructional tasting. This business will require 3 types of ABC license, which would be the Type 21 for alcoholic beverages of off-sale premises, Type 41 for warehousing for private and commercial use, and then lastly is going to be Type 86 for the ancillary instructional seminar tasting. The tenant has applied for a tenant improvement tenant improvements, which includes just interior work. They're demoing the partition walls, new ceiling lights, and also to install storage racks and refrigerators. All right, so the next slide is the site photos of the current condition. here we have the site plan. As you can see, the subject property is actually within other warehousing and manufactured uses. It's within a condominium, so they have shared common parking and spaces. Here we have the floor plan. So we have the ground level floor plan, which will include the warehousing components, which occupies at least 75% of the ground floor level. And then at the northwest corner, you can see that there is it's going to be a retail and office use component. And then also the instructional seminar tasting. And then to the right is the mezzanine floor plan, which is the office uses. So the next slide is the analysis and recommendation. The sale of alcoholic beverage for off-sale consumption with ancillary warehousing and instructional seminar tasting at the subject location would not be detrimental to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. The condition of approval and standard in the Santa Ana Municipal Code will ensure maintenance of a safe and attractive environment in the neighborhood. In addition, issuance of a public convenience and necessity is required because there's an overconcentration of off-premise ABC license within the census tract. The police department did not oppose the granting of this conditional use permit. We received one comment from Mark Roberts via Granicus. Staff's recommendation is to adopt a resolution approving conditional use permit number 2020-16 as condition, and also authorizing issuance of a PCN letter due to the overconcentration of an off-premise ABC license in the census tract. This concludes my report, and I can answer any questions that you may have. The applicant, Jason Ballard, is also in this virtual meeting and can also answer questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Do any of the commissioners have any questions of staff? I'll start with Commissioner Garcia.
No questions at this time.
Commissioner Morrissey.
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Nguyen.
No question, thank you.
Commissioner Rivera.
No questions.
Commissioner Fan.
None here.
Vice Chair Contreras-Leo.
No question.
I just have a couple of quick ones, Kathy. What's the hours of operation on this?
Let me take a look. Their proposed hours is 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay, and just for my own edification here, you mentioned that their issuance of a PCN letter, and since it's an acronym, what does PCN stand for?
So ABC license, alcoholic beverage control, it's dependent on, there's a certain amount of ABC license that they can have within a certain census tract based on the population of of Santa Ana. So based on the population now and within that specific census tract, within that census tract allows a specific amount of off-sale ABC license. And let me look in the report.
So I understand that. I'm just asking the simple question.
It stands for public convenience and necessity. Public convenience and necessity.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
All right, that's my question. No other further questions from the commission. Madam Secretary, have we received any written communication on this item?
No correspondence received.
Okay, we'll now open the public hearing. Would the applicant like to speak on this matter?
Hello, this is Jason. Yes, I would like to speak.
Okay, Jason, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to present tonight. It's been a long road to get to this point with COVID kind of shutting us down midstream when we were working on this project. So I'm excited to be at the meeting today and get this in front of everybody. It's a big project for us. We started Spectrum Wine in 2009 and started out as a auctioneer of fine and rare wine. So we specialize in the auction sale of high-end wine, aged wine, specialty wine, and kind of a unique position in the market for an electronic auction. Over the years, we've grown the business and have taken on the components of warehousing. So we do Type 14 warehousing, which allows smaller wineries or distributors to operate their business out of our warehouse. We have a refrigerated warehouse that is relatively expensive to put together, so it helps these smaller businesses to operate their facility out of our facility and not have to incur that giant expense. And we've also got into online retail and retail, so we're selling wine like you'd expect, like a Total Wine & More and things like that. A little bit different than our auction product, which is more high-end wine. So in a nutshell, that's kind of how our business is laid out. We currently have several locations in Southern California. Our main office is in Tustin. We have 2 locations in Newport Beach, 1 location in Irvine, and we simply grew out of room. And we were very fortunate that people are still buying wine through all this, and so we are kind of in the growth phase, in a unique position to be in that phase. I'm very grateful for that. And so we're going to be consolidating all of our locations into this much larger facility to gain efficiencies, streamline our process, and just make a much better experience for the customers. So the staff is looking forward to it. I'm very much looking forward to it. And if you have any other questions for it, please let me know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Do any of the commissioners have any comments or questions of the applicant? Commissioner Garcia?
No questions. Just a comment to say that I think it's great that you are that you're in Santa Ana or going to be in Santa Ana, and instead of staying in any of the 2 cities that you're currently in. So I think it's great news, and welcome.
Thank you.
Commissioner Morrissey.
Yeah, I just had a similar comment. It's great seeing innovative business platforms like this coming to Santa Ana. Very exciting and good to see. So appreciate the applicant choosing Santa Ana to grow their business.
Thank you.
Commissioner Nguyen.
No comment, question. Thank you.
Commissioner Rivera.
Yeah, quick comment question. I agree with the other commissioners. Well, excited to kind of go in and glad coming here. Question: as far as your seminar tasting, could you walk me through what that?
Yeah, sure. So an instructional seminar would be something that one of our wine exports leads, kind of like an educational seminar. So the room would look like similar to a classroom. Everyone kind of has their own seat with an instructor kind of in the front, a projector or a TV kind of to walk people through the tasting. We would pass out small samples. Generally, they're about 2-ounce pours of whatever wines we're going to be talking about. I guess a step back, but they would take place generally around 5 o'clock. Between 5 and 6 o'clock in the evening time. We would pass out the wine. We'd go through the wines. We talk about the history of that particular winery. We talk about the flavor profiles. We would talk about what are people tasting, questions people have. Many times we partner with the wineries. We do a lot of business in France, and so we have chateau owners come over and do these seminars with us, or we do a lot with wineries up in Napa and so forth. So it's very much an educational and directed tasting that's definitely focused on teaching and trying to engage people in the wine.
Awesome, thank you. Sounds very cool. Sounds different.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, Commissioner Pan.
No, I'm really excited for this. This is the kind of thing I would be doing, and it would be fantastic to be able to do something like this in our own hometown. Just a question, I guess, about COVID, or what, when do you think this is supposed to become operational?
You talking about the tasting aspect of it?
The seminar part, yes.
Yeah. So right now we'd probably be on hold for a little bit, just until COVID kind of gets itself organized. We've been doing it before. We didn't do them at restaurants and various other places, and so we've been on hold for since February, and we're still on hold. So we look forward to doing it, but there's nothing on the horizon that we're going to start doing it. We need to wait for things to be safe, and so that we can properly do it without having liability and putting people at risk.
Totally understand. That was all. Thank you.
Okay. Vice Chair Contreras-Leo.
No questions, and welcome to Santa Ana.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to ditto to everybody above. I think that this is a great opportunity for Santa Ana, and obviously it's a nice way of increasing our economic development in Santa Ana, and it's a good option. And it sounds like it's an exciting project from the standpoint of all the different opportunities that you're going to avail the public to have. So welcome to Santa Ana, and if there's no further questions of the applicant, Madam Secretary, do we have any questions or comments from the public?
If you'd like to speak on this matter, please dial *9 now. We'll wait a few seconds. We do not have any speakers, Chair.
Okay, does the applicant have any final comments that they would like to make at this time?
No, I don't think so. Thank you for all the feedback, and look forward to seeing everybody at one of our tastings maybe one day.
Okay, Jason, thank you very much. With that, the public hearing is now closed. We'll bring it back to the commission for final questions and recommendations. I'll start with Commissioner Garcia. Any comments or recommendations?
No, nothing new.
Commissioner Morrissey.
No new comments.
Commissioner Nguyen.
No comment, thank you.
Commissioner Fan.
None here, thank you.
Vice Chair Contreras-Leo.
Thank you.
Okay, I have no further comments. Would anybody like to make a motion and second?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, Tom, go ahead. Your motion is, would you read the motion, Tom?
Motion is to let me find the item. Motion is to approve conditional use permit number 2020-16.
Second.
Okay. All right, we have a second. All right. If there's no further discussion, Madam Secretary, can we have a roll call vote?
Yes, and just for clarification, Commissioner Morrissey, can you restate your motion to adopt CUP 2020-16 and also include the second recommended action, which is to authorize the Planning Commission to issue the PCN letter, please?
Okay, my motion is to approve conditional use permit number 2020-16 with the recommended action
to issue the PCN letter.
To issue the PCN letter. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll do a roll call now. Commissioner Garcia?
Aye.
Commissioner Morrissey?
Aye.
Commissioner Nguyen?
Aye.
Commissioner Rivera?
Aye.
Commissioner Fan?
Aye.
Vice Chair Contreras-Leo?
Aye.
And Chair McLaughlin?
Aye.
Motion passes by unanimous consent.
Thank you. Good luck, Jason. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. This is the time and place to consider item number 3, conditional use permit number 2020-20 for the property located at 2100 South Fairview Street. Please note the decision on this matter is final unless appealed within 10 days. Before we begin, do any of the commissioners have anything to disclose with regards to this item? Commissioner Garcia?
Nothing to disclose.
Commissioner Morrissey?
No disclosures. Thank you.
Commissioner Nguyen?
No disclosure. Thank you.
Commissioner Rivera?
None. No.
Commissioner Fan?
None.
Commissioner Vice Chair Contreras-Leo?
None.
I have none. All right, hearing no other comments from the commission. Ivan, are you going to be presenting this to us this evening?
Yes, Chair, I am here and ready to present.
Go for it, Ivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. As you mentioned, this application, CUP number 2020-20, easy to remember, is for a renewal to an existing wireless facility located at 2100 South Fairview Street. And as I mentioned, it's for a re-entitlement or a renewal of an existing large wireless facility, communications facility. And it's disguised as a pine tree. As part of the process and review by city staff, there will be installation or reinstallation of the additional trees that are required by code, as required in the first CUP application in 2009. On this slide, you'll see the location of the wireless facility in reference to the property. So it's located towards the southwest of the property. And the site photo, as shown on the right of the slide, is the existing facility with the enclosure just below it. It's a pretty quick presentation, but it's essentially, as I mentioned, it's just to re-entitle a facility. Based on the analysis of the project and staff's review, the existing facility will continue to provide service to the residents and visitors in the area. And the conditions of approval and standards per the Santa Ana Municipal Code will address any potential negative impacts. And with that, staff recommends the application for you to approve conditional use permit number 2020-20 as conditioned. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Ivan. Commissioner Garcia, any questions of staff?
No questions.
Commissioner Morrissey?
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Nguyen?
No question. Thank you.
Commissioner Rivera?
No questions.
Commissioner Fan?
Hi, yes.
I guess, a couple of questions. I do see that, we're going to add some great branches and all that fun stuff, fix the faded self branches. But are we going to extend the size, or is that not possible to better close the actual wireless facility at the top?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so I do see that as part of the COAs, we're going to fix the faded or deteriorating branches, paint them darker and all that fun stuff. But based on the picture, is there any way to better stealth the facility at the top? It kind of just sticks out. Or is that as best as we're going to get it?
Right, so what you're looking at is the antennas sticking out of the branches? Is that correct?
Yes.
So for the antennas, we usually ask for antenna socks in the same color as the branches to kind of stealth it. Unfortunately, for a pine tree, as you know, it just gets more narrow towards the top. So it does create a difficulty in screening it, but we usually address that with socks on the antennas.
Okay, so I guess are we going to have, I don't see that as part of the COAs. I just want to make sure that whatever the coloring is, we do the best that we can to have it camouflaged.
If the applicant agrees to add those, as you know, we're limited in requesting additional requirements that were not part of the original conditional use permit. And so the list of conditions of approval are those from the 2009 CUP.
Okay, can we ask them if they would be okay with adding some paint to make sure the coloring looks good? It shouldn't be too much work.
You can definitely ask.
Is the applicant on the line? I believe it's Nicole. We're just going to make sure she's not muted. Oh, she is muted. Just 1 second, Nicole. Okay, she's unmuted at this moment. Yes.
Commissioner Fan, do you have a question of Nicole?
Yes, I can hear everything.
I'm sorry. Did you want me to repeat the question, or?
No, but I just want to clarify that your request is to paint the antennas. Is that correct?
Yeah, or just do something so that it doesn't, have this two-tone look that it sticks out so much.
Right. So in terms of adding any more branches and such, I would have to go back and see in terms of the structural analysis if the tree can hold that, and that's something I can't answer now. Painting the antennas isn't as big of an issue, and I can say yes to that condition right now.
Painting the antennas or the socks that Ivan mentioned?
Correct. Yeah, the socks shouldn't be an issue either.
We can add those conditions then.
Great, that would be fantastic. Appreciate it.
So one thing I want to address is that I would have to go back and request that the tower owner look at that condition and approve that, because we want to make sure that anything that is added beyond the conditions that I've already seen prior to this meeting can actually, the tree can actually hold those and have the coverage that we already have now, if that makes sense.
The only thing I'm really asking for is we're looking to repaint some of the faded branches and things like that. So yeah, painting is fine. I just want to make sure that we don't have some silver-looking antennas and then dark green branches, and really just what's the point of stealth in the first place? That's all I'm asking for.
I can agree to that.
Okay.
Thank you. Then that would be what I would add. Appreciate it.
Any other comments, Commissioner Fan?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Vice Chair Contreras-Leo, any questions?
No, thank you.
I have none. So what we'll do is we'll move on. And Madam Secretary, have we received any written communication on this item?
No communication has been received.
Okay. With that, the public hearing is now open. Would the applicant like to state anything else that would be necessary on this matter?
I have no further comments besides thanking everyone for being here and your consideration today.
Okay. Good enough. Madam Secretary, do we have any other public comments at this point in time?
If you'd like to speak on this matter, please dial *9 now. We'll wait a few seconds. There are no speakers, Chair.
Okay, once again, the applicant, would you have any other final remarks you'd like to make?
I do not. Is the new condition that's going to be added, is that going to be said out loud right now?
We'll identify it when we identify the motion.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Hearing no more further questions, we'll close the public hearing. We'll bring it back to the commission. Do the commissioners have any final questions of staff or of the applicant at this point in time? Commissioner Garcia?
None, thank you.
Commissioner Morrissey?
Yes, I do have I think it's a point of clarification. Item 2 of Exhibit A requires that the antennas shall be painted a darker green to match the prawn color, and all deteriorating and faded branches should be replaced. So is staff going to identify which branches are replaced? So how is that determined, I guess? What's the process there?
So as far as the branches that are kind of seeing the end of its, prime, usually these branches are spread out throughout the facility. During a site visit, staff can identify that some of the branches need replacement, but as far as sitting there and picking out which one it would be, we condition it so that the applicant can take that and replace the branches that require replacement based on the description. So it's not something that we set up an appointment and we're out there, pointing out which ones need to be replaced. It's any branch that is deteriorated and faded and requires to be replaced.
Okay, Commissioner Morrissey, does that answer your question?
Well, somewhat. I guess there's concern on the part of the commission about the appearance of the facility. So I just want to make sure when all said and done that it's the antennas are painted and the branches are replaced, that we have a facility in place that everybody's happy with. So I'm still not clear as to how how many branches are being replaced and how it would be determined that it's upgraded to a standard. I guess I'm not sure what the standard is for the appearance.
Okay.
Commissioner Morrissey?
I don't know that I have an answer there. I'm just asking questions. How do we?
Yeah, no, that's fair. You're asking good questions, and staff, do you want to respond?
Yes, Commissioner Morrissey. When an applicant comes in, for example, to replace equipment or antennas, and for some reason or other the CUP has expired, we cannot process that request, and as you know, that's a land use certificate for modifications to an existing facility. So they're in the position that they have to come in, re-entitle before we can process that. When we have a land use certificate submitted and approved, we can always go out and inspect the work that's been done. And in this case, the CUP requires that any branches that are faded, need replacement, be replaced, then we can go out there after the CUP's been approved. So in the past, I believe there has been a condition to see the work being done within 6 months of the approval. It's, again, this is another condition that would be added for the re-entitlement, but it's not requesting additional screening. It's just requesting proof that it's been done properly. So that, again, you'd have to maybe discuss with the applicant. It's just a condition to go out there and take a look at the equipment or the branches, the screening apparatus.
Does that take care of your question, Commissioner Morrissey?
Yeah, so I guess it's up to us to add a condition that I would suggest that we add a condition that the facility be inspected 6 months after approval to verify that the branch has been replaced and the antennas have been painted as outlined in the conditions for approval.
Okay. All right. So when we make a motion, we'll go through the conditions of approval and make any recommendation that we need at that point in time.
Mr. Chair, this is Ivan again.
Yes.
And I just want to highlight that there was a modification to the application as far as the replacement of the 2 screening trees. Back in 2009, I believe it only required to have 15-gallon trees. And since then, the requirements have changed, or I don't know the exact date, but what we're including in this application is, as part of the conditions of approval, that the trees be at least 36-inch box, canary pines. And so I want that to reflect on the record that they are 36-inch instead of 15-gallon.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Are you good, Commissioner Morrissey?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you.
Commissioner Nguyen?
I have no question. Thank you.
Commissioner Rivera?
No question.
Commissioner Pan?
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Vice Chair Contreras-Leo?
No questions.
Okay, I have no further questions. And we have a motion and a second, and also what other conditions you would like to include in this motion that are not included in the current conditions. Anybody make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve. We get the number again.
2020.
2020. And amend the conditions of approval. Just add to item 2 that the facility will be inspected to verify compliance with the conditions stated for branch replacement and painting of the antennas.
Okay. Dan, does that match up with any of your concerns?
That completely does, and actually I want to apologize because I misread condition of approval number 2 and completely overlooked the part that said all antennas. So I'm perfectly happy with the conditions, and glad to know that staff already added that. Thanks.
So, Commissioner Morrissey, you've made the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
And Nguyen, you made a second. Thank you. Madam Secretary, do you have the motion and the required or requested changes?
Yes, we do have the motion by Commissioner Morrissey, and with the added conditions to have the facility be inspected to verify compliance with the conditions for the replacement and painting.
Okay. With no further comments, we'll take it to a roll call vote. Madam Secretary, please take a roll call.
Commissioner Garcia.
Aye.
Commissioner Morrissey.
Aye.
Commissioner Nguyen.
Aye.
Commissioner Rivera.
Aye.
Commissioner Fan.
Aye.
Vice Chair Contreras Leo.
Aye.
And Chair McLaughlin.
Aye.
Motion passes by unanimous consent.
Okay. Thank you. That includes the public hearing of the business calendar. We're going to move on to administrative matters.
Thank you,
First item on
Mr. Chair.
is the discussion on the Planning Division's public noticing procedures.
Thank you, Chairman. This is Mintai, and Vince Frigoso will be presenting the discussion on this item. However, I just want to do a little prelude to the discussion that, as promised to you by staff, we'll bring this back at the request of the Planning Commission. The current listing requirements that we do right now not only meet state requirements, but the city also have additional requirements that staff does. So both Lisa and Vince will be available, and myself, to answer any questions you may have. We'll be taking notes from the discussion, and then we can discuss on how to move forward based on our discussion here. So Vince, if you could provide the presentation.
Sure. Thank you, Min. Appreciate that. Good evening, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman. The item here is something that has been discussed and raised at a few public hearings in the past there, and we've had people come up and mention about the noticing requirements and how they didn't get noticed. So what I want to do is take a couple of minutes and actually have 2 slides to kind of walk you through what the state mandates are and then what we do. And then what you'll see is that we go above and beyond what is required by the state. So the first slide you're looking at here talks about the state mandated requirements. And there's 3 of them that they ask of all cities to do whenever you have a public hearing. The first one is you put a public notice out on the site. Second is you publish a public notice in a newspaper of general circulation. And for us, we have 2 of them. We have the Orange County Reporter and the Orange County Register. And then the third item is that you have to mail out public notices to owners of properties within 300 feet of the project site. So those are the 3 that you have to do there by state law. The next slide, please. Thank you, Ali. The next slide tells you what we do now. And as you can see, we go, as I mentioned, above and beyond. First of all, we also publish the notices on the project site. We go out there and we stake them and put them either on the fencing or put stakes out on the actual site where the item is going to occur. We publish in the newspaper as well, and depending on the breadth and the type of project that's involved, it can go one of 2 newspapers. If it's just a basic typical notice, it'll go on the OC Reporter, which is a large general circulation publication. If we have a very controversial, a very large project, we'll take that to the Orange County Register because it typically has a little wider circulation, and it's also a bigger notice newspaper. So we do those 2. And then the third, we also mail out public notices, but we mail them out to the owners and the tenants. So not just the person who owns the property, which in many cases is somebody either somewhere in northern, southern California, or even out of state. But we also notice them to every tenant as well on the property. And within properties of 500 feet. So not 300 feet, we go to 500 feet. So we do almost double what the state requires, as well as tenants as well, because in our mind, tenants have as much of an interest in the property as do the owners. Now, in addition to those 3, we also go a little further. We also post notices on our Planning Division webpage. We also, and you've noticed in our staff reports, we reach out to the Neighborhood Association president and reach out to them individually and find out if there's been any comments or any kind of interest from their president. And then we also do an email blast, the neighborhood association, to the distribution list. We have a list of several names on each neighborhood that the emails go out to as well. And if it's a controversial project, and a good example is 2525 North Main, this neighborhood blast works within the neighborhood as they send it out to all their other members as well. So we find that these 6 items that we have listed here in our noticing process works. It goes above and beyond. We do have a good outreach to the community through all these projects. And as you requested, this is a kind of a highlight of what we do here. Some more information for you to act upon has been mentioned. If you have any comments or any questions, we can answer them for you today. But as you can see here, we clearly go above and beyond what the state mandates require, and also above and beyond what our Sunshine Ordinance requires as well. So that's my little summary for you on our public noticing requirements and how we do it. If there's any questions, I can answer them for you.
Mr. Chairman, I have
Any
a question.
Who is this?
Cynthia?
Cynthia, okay, go ahead.
Vice Chairman.
Then, when you do the publications and the publishing and distribution, do you do it in several languages or is it just in English?
Our flyers are all sent out. Notice are sent out in English. Plus, we also have information on the flyer in Spanish and Vietnamese that they need some additional information or translations. They contact specific individuals for that translation.
So
primarily English, but also has those 2 options available.
When do you use those options?
Whenever they contact us requesting it. Those notices all get mailed out at least 10 days prior. So somebody gets a notice, they will contact us, and they'll ask us questions, and we'll respond to the questions. And if they're going to be at the public hearing, then we'll ask for translation to be available at the public hearing as well.
But how does someone know how to contact you if they don't understand what they're reading?
The flyer down below says it in the foreign language, Spanish or Vietnamese, in that language. So if you have any questions, please contact Sarah Bernal or somebody else in the Vietnamese. So it says it in there that if you have any questions about this document, please contact this individual.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Garcia, do you have any questions of staff on this?
One question. Is there any time that you deviate from the six bullet points that you outlined for noticing purposes?
No, that's been pretty much our standard for the last several years. A good example is the WHO. There was no neighborhood association to go to. It was a citywide document, so there was no association president to reach out to. Well, in that case, we would deviate because it's a citywide type of document. So for the most part, if it's a public hearing for a specific project site, we go through these 6 bullet points.
So,
and I think,
Go ahead. Sorry, Norma.
No, please go ahead.
No, I can wait.
I was going to ask a follow-up to Cynthia's question. I think it's a really great question, but I understand that is it cost prohibitive to add, any kind of information specific to the item, whether it's a brief summary or a bullet, regarding the specific issue that's being noticed? And I say that because I think it would be difficult for a resident who's either a Vietnamese speaker or monolingual Spanish speaker to, understand that maybe they ought to call and ask questions if they don't really understand what the subject matter is to begin with. Is that something that can be done? Is it just too cost prohibitive?
We can look into that, Commissioner. That's not a problem. We can look into that, add some basic information in the notice.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else, Norma?
No, nothing for me. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I have a question?
Go ahead, Commissioner Nguyen.
Beside the email that Norma received a lot of email from cities regarding very different issue. Are we going to use any kind of social media like maybe like Nextdoor or something like that and to send notices out to the resident in Spanish, English, and Vietnamese?
We've used that social media in certain cases. A great example is the General Plan update, but we've sent out 22,000 notices a few weeks ago about it in multiple languages. And we also used the Nixle alert, and we've also used our Facebook web pages as well. So we do use social media for some of the bigger pages for these types of projects. Some of the basic ones, we've done our typical outreach of 6 bullet points. We haven't gone as deep into social media. A lot of people, as you know, in the city don't have the internet access, so we rely on the key ones, the notices on the site, the newspaper, and then the actual mailers. And then we reach out to the presidents, and they have their own network of people they reach out to as well. But we're also sensitive to the not having internet access throughout the entire citywide.
Thank you.
Commissioner Morrissey.
Yes, I had a question. I think several weeks ago there was an issue brought up about notifications and time frames. Just for my clarification, what are the, I see we have a distance requirement. What are the time frames for noticing?
10 days prior to the meeting. 10 days prior, at least 10 days. Calendar days, yes, calendar days. So our notices go out about 12 or 13 days. Sarah, the exact date would be, was it 13 days prior, Sarah?
For the newspaper or for
public notices?
The public notices, 12 days.
12 days. So they go out 12 days prior, you get them
right.
10 or 11 days.
I think the issue with that mailer, or the issue was having to do with the 4th of July holiday weekend. I think that was the problem that we encountered.
Yeah, I think the actual mailer was delayed because it went out on the holiday or day before the holiday. That was the issue.
I think so, yeah.
So do we have any, so I guess that was my question. If we see an issue like that, we will send it out 12 days prior as opposed to 10 days prior? Is that?
That's correct.
Commissioner Morrissey, Commissioner Morrissey, so in light of that particular situation, we have worked to advance our mailing to at least 2 days prior, so we don't hit the beginning of the week holidays or the end of the week holidays. We're doing it midweek now, which provide at least a couple more days, and it avoids the end of the week holidays.
Okay, great. Yeah. That's good.
Anything else, Commissioner
Thank you.
Morrissey?
No further comment.
Commissioner Nguyen, anything else? Commissioner Nguyen?
No comment, thank you.
Commissioner Rivera?
No comment, thank you.
Commissioner Fan?
Hi, yes. Just to piggyback on a couple of my fellow commissioners, so I understand that we do have some language that says in Vietnamese and Spanish. If you have any questions, please contact so-and-so. And I know Commissioner Garcia mentioned looking into whether we can do a brief summary of the notice in language. I think another option, if we discover that a brief summary is too expensive, is to just have the notice say in language that this is not a bill or a citation. At least I know with my mom, she doesn't speak English, and so when she sees sorry, I'm getting a lot of feedback. Whenever she sees a letter that has official, City of Santa Ana letterhead on it, she freaks out a little bit. So I think that might also help for anyone who doesn't speak English. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay. Vice Chair Contreras-Leo.
No more questions.
Okay. I just have just a couple. One thing that always concerns me is the distance from where the project is to where the surrounding area is. And, 500 feet always seems to be not a great distance. How do we adjust when we get something like, for instance, Main Place Mall, where we put in the signs and you've got 10 lanes of traffic that obviously exceed 500 feet, and you've got neighborhoods on the other side of the highway. There's a lot of complaint about not getting notification or not being privy to the notification. How do we stop? How do we help that situation? That's one question. And then the second question is, yes, we're doing the recording in the 2 newspapers that were noted. Is there any other means of notification besides the Nexel and things of that? Is there any public means that we can use that could also act as a means of communicating action being taken by the planning department?
Chair McLaughlin, as Vince mentioned, the city of Santa Ana does above and beyond what's required by law, and the notifications in the newspaper should hopefully reach those people that are beyond the 500 feet of the project site. We can look into noticing in the other languages, like you said, or a summary, but that could be cost prohibitive, and we'll just have to look at it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, we all know, I still get a newspaper, and the newspaper is like 20 pages at this point in time, and there's always, several pages of notices in there for sure. I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of, is there any other, and people are saying that, not many people get newspapers anymore, so, people do online, and I assume that everything that's available in the newspaper is also digitally available online, so that should take care of that. But people don't tend to utilize necessarily the Orange County Register. Some use the LA Times, some of them use the New York Times. It's all preference. And how do we continue to try to expand the areas in which we can communicate to the public?
I think one of our biggest ones is the outreach to the neighborhood associations. That's been a big help in getting the word out to the different neighborhood associations. So it kind of depends on how active that neighborhood association is. But,
Right.
We saw it with 2525. They came out in droves. So I think that's a very helpful tool that we've been using.
No, I don't disagree with. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, and I think that that's an example. But I've also seen where, for instance, when the Bowery did their noticing for their project, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 people showed up from the public for that particular project. And the reason is because that particular project is in an industrial area and there are very few neighborhoods around there.
And you're correct in making that observation. And, the radius is a standard that the state uses as well as we use that as well. I think what I'm hearing here is that there's a desire to look at how, in addition to these basic requirements, is to provide additional outreach through social media. What we'll have to do, this is something certainly we can do. What I want to do is just take comments, and not necessarily, I don't think we'll have a solution today, but take these comments and let us evaluate your comments and goals and evaluate how we can come back and address some of those concerns. These are all really valid concerns, and I want to be able to take time and really address them in a way that is going to provide, some positive, impactful changes.
Okay.
Yeah, if I can add to that. Oh, sorry.
No, okay, Norman, go, please.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that Mark makes a really good point and I appreciate, Min, that you're hearing. So I think the general consensus is that additional outreach is important, not because we're not meeting basic legal requirements, but rather because we want meaningful feedback from residents in the community. And I think as a commission, but also I would believe that, the council would want that as well, and staff, so that by the time that whatever item comes to the commission, we have hopefully received most of the feedback. So I think, to the extent that you can, I think, Commissioner Nguyen also made a great point. The next door is a really good option. I know that we receive notices from the public information officer for the city routinely on issues and topics. So to the extent that you can target the neighborhood associations through that means, I think that'd be a logical, not cost prohibitive or time consuming option. I know that I'm more likely to read something on Nextdoor personally than maybe the newsletter that gets delivered to me, on a quarterly basis or what have you. It's just more timely. So, I would very much encourage you to consider that as an option.
Absolutely, your point is well taken.
Somewhere, somehow, and I'm going to build on what Norma just said, somehow I was led to believe that the city didn't use Nextdoor as a means of communicating to people.
I don't know we're on Nextdoor, but I know we're on Nextdoor.
Right.
You're on,
I don't know.
Nextdoor's a different database.
Correct. You're correct.
I received
and I would have to verify if we use Nextdoor, but
yeah.
I know at the minimum we're using Nixo.
Right. Okay. I mean, there was some comment was made when I brought it up at an earlier time, and it just was like this: the city doesn't. It's not an approved. Social media connection that the city is involved in.
Well, we'll find that out, and we'll be able to let you know in the future when we come back to you.
Yeah, Nextdoor is a good alternative. I mean, again, that's not necessarily 100% of the neighborhoods are involved. It doesn't mean 100% of a particular neighborhood has all of the people that live in the neighborhood on it, but it appears to be a broader discussion tool, or it's a broader communication tool than it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Understood.
Is there any questions, Tom? All right, hearing.
All right, thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you.
Chair McLaughlin, if I can do a quick summary, what I'm hearing is that we do, we do have the minimum requirement in what the law, both locally as well as the state. What the commission would like staff to do is to explore how do we broaden the outreach, not necessarily as a legal requirement, but as a form of communication so that we can get this information out. And I want to make that distinction because we're dealing with a public hearing process with established procedures. So the broader goal, something that we can certainly look at and help to be transparent. So that's what we'll be looking towards, is to broaden our outreach, but not necessarily changing the legal requirements. Correct?
Is that your question?
I want to summarize it, and I just want feedback that my observation is correct, is that we're going to maintain the current legal status requirements, but to evaluate how to broaden our outreach to the community.
Yes, I believe that's the general comment that we're making as a commission. Unless anybody would like to add to that, Commissioner Garcia.
No, I think that's a good approach.
Okay, Commissioner Morrissey.
No, I would agree with that. In the case of some items have environmental impact beyond 300 feet, so I would hopefully we take that into account when we take a look at this requirement.
I agree, Tom. Commissioner Nguyen?
I agree. I'm totally agree with it. As long as all our residents, regardless what language they familiar with it, English, Spanish, or Vietnamese, they should be notified anything involved in around the neighborhood.
Okay. Commissioner Rivera?
Yes, I think we're not trying to change what we have kind of enhanced. It's definitely the right statement. I agree.
Okay. Commissioner Fan?
I'm good with it. Thank you, y'all.
Okay. Vice Chair Contreras-Leo?
I don't want to prolong the discussion, but I think another suggestion is there are newspapers that are staples of the community. They haven't gone away. So, like in the Latino community, Rumores, so they deliver everywhere, and it gets read, and it has readership, and I'm sure we can identify, a popular Vietnamese newspaper, and the community still picks that up and reads it. It'd be interesting to see what the readership is and the reach, and there's things to do that allow people to be informed. Just a thought.
Unfortunately, I think you bring up another point, Vice Chair Contreras-Leo, and that is that, aside from having newspapers and magazines and things like that are in Vietnamese or Spanish, I think that the other side of it is we have our own TV. We have our own TV station for the council meetings. And is there any way that we could put notification onto that station if need be, so that people that might be tuning in for a council meeting, they would also see notification and notice of upcoming items on the Planning Commission or the City Council or any other commission that might make sense, and use that for an advertising. I think some of that is being done today, but more rigorous approach in the future. And that's two areas. And then, of course, you've got the Vietnamese radio, and you have some Hispanic radio that is local to the city of Santa Ana. Again, these are alternatives. I think, bottom line, our objective is to try to make sure that as many people as possible are notified of upcoming actions and plans by the Planning Department and the Planning Commission and Council.
Agreed.
Okay? So, as long as we're looking at these things, then I think we should at least come back, and it would be helpful to come back and say, here, we've looked at this, and this is not something we can pursue, or yes, we're going to pursue this and see what we can do. I get the message that the city's doing more than what the state requires, but, I think that there's a motive in some respects with the state, because I think what they're trying to do is make sure that they can get as much housing and as much action taken care of on the local level as quickly as possible, and making the notification process very minimal expedites that action, but doesn't provide the appropriate communication to the constituents that live in the city.
Thank you.
Okay, so any other comments at this point in time with regards to any questions of staff that we want to talk about at this point on this item? Okay, Madam Secretary, have we received any written communication on this item?
We have not.
Does anybody from the public, would anybody like to comment at this point in time on this item?
If anyone would like to comment on this item, please press *9 now. Chair, we do have one caller. Caller with the last three numbers 477. Please state your name and your comment. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening. This is Dale Helbig, Ward 3. One of my initial comments you guys already addressed, thank you, and that was dealing with the getting the notifications out within 10 days and the mix-up that we had over the July 4th holiday where people didn't get information until 7 days in advance. So I'm glad to hear men say that they're taking measures to get that out earlier such that it's in the hands of the public within the 10-day period. There's nothing wrong with exceeding minimum requirements, and that's what the state offers, but I'm glad to hear men say that they're looking at going above the minimum requirements for getting this information out, because it is important to get the public involved in this information process. Likewise, I'll extend it even further by saying that the agenda items, instead of meeting the minimum requirement of 72 hours in advance, if there's a big project that needs to be reviewed, it would be helpful to get those out with more than a 72-hour notification as well. I know other cities provide a 2-week notification and some up to a month notification. So it may require resetting the clock on how we do business, but again, to get the information out, I'm sure the planning commissioners would like to see this information a little bit in advance before the 72-hour notification. Hopefully the planning department and other people are communicating with the commissioners to get that information to them, but if not, 72 hours isn't enough to review some of these documents. So thank you for your time. You guys stay safe.
Thank you, Dale. Madam Secretary, are there any other comments from the public?
No other callers.
Hearing none, we will close the hearing portion of this. And Min, Vince, Lisa, thank you for the presentation, and hopefully we can do some things. I agree with what Dale is talking about too, from the standpoint of notification to the commission so that we can get our job done effectively. And sometimes it is difficult to do it when you do have just 72 hours notice. And I think the example of that obviously was last week's meeting where we had, one item, but it was a very compact but complex item to work with. And it would have been helpful to have a little more notification and have the ability for the commissioners to speak to anybody in the planning department to get some resolution on some of their concerns early on. So I think if we can expand and look at that process, I think it will be very, very helpful. Okay, anybody else have any comments that they'd like to make on this item? Everybody good?
We're good.
All right. Let's move on to election of the officers for the Planning Commission. We will first take the election of the chairperson for 2020 and 2021. I'll open the floor for any nominations at this point in time.
Chair?
I would like to, Chair.
Fan?
Yes.
Oh, I figured I would just nominate you. I think you've been doing a great job, and I think that it would be fantastic to have you keep doing what you're already doing.
Okay. Do we have any other? Thank you.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Ken Nguyen. I would like to echo Commissioner Fan. I would like to nominate Mark McLaughlin as could be our chair. You are doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Anybody else? Any other nominations? Okay, we'll close the nominations and bring it back. And Madam Secretary, will you do a roll call vote on the chairperson?
Yes. So for to elect Chairperson McLaughlin for the 2021 term, I have a motion by Commissioner Fan, a second by Commissioner Nguyen, and I'll go ahead and do the roll call. Commissioner Garcia.
Aye.
Commissioner Morrissey.
Aye.
Commissioner Nguyen.
Aye.
Commissioner Fan,
Aye.
Vice Chair Contreras-Leo,
Aye.
and Chair McLaughlin.
Aye, but you skipped Commissioner Rivera.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Rivera. I did skip you. Commissioner Rivera.
Aye.
Thank you. Chair, motion passes by unanimous consent.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate the support. You guys are very good, and we're getting better every day. We every time we meet. So I thank you for your vote of confidence. We'll now go to the vice chair, and we'll open the floor for nominations of vice chair. Anybody want to make a motion?
Yes,
Go ahead.
I nominate Cynthia Contreras-Leo.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner
And also,
Rivera.
if I may just add that I think that she's also doing a fabulous job along with you, Mark. So I don't want to not say that.
Oh, thank
you.
you. That's a good point. Yes. Tom?
Commissioner Rivera.
Who is it?
I'm sorry, you're cutting out.
Commissioner Rivera, I second for Cynthia.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have anybody else for nomination? Okay. We'll close the nomination at this point in time. Madam Secretary, will you please do a roll call vote?
Yes, we have a motion by Commissioner Garcia, seconded by Commissioner Rivera, to elect Cynthia Contreras-Leo as vice chairperson. Commissioner Garcia.
Aye.
Commissioner Morrissey.
Aye.
Commissioner Nguyen.
Aye.
Commissioner Rivera.
Aye.
Commissioner Fan.
Aye.
Vice Chair Contreras-Leo.
Aye.
Chair McLaughlin.
Aye.
Motion passes by unanimous consent.
Thank you.
Mark, can I say
everybody.
something?
You can say something, Cynthia.
I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I think it's great that we'll continue with some stability, and we don't have much time left, and there's going to be such a big turnover, and I think it'll be exciting to see new leadership then as well. So thank you for the opportunity to continue being your vice chair.
Thank you, Cynthia. With that, we'll go on to staff comments.
Oh,
And
Chair McLaughlin, I'm sorry to interrupt. We do have recommended action C for the HRC representative.
Sorry. I was looking at I was looking at the form and I had the HRC. Yeah, I got you. All right. So we have the next position and last position is the HRC representative at this point in time. So do we have a motion to nominate the HRC representative to the Historic Resources Commission?
Should we ask who wants to do it?
Well, I mean, do we want to make a nomination? I'd nominate Felix to continue to do it. I think I've seen him at the commission meetings and he does a great job at the HRC. That's my recommendation. Anybody else?
I would second that. That would be awesome.
Okay. Felix, is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's okay by me. I'm enjoying it over there, so that's good.
Okay. So if there's no other nomination at this point in time, we'll close the nomination for the HRC representative and we'll bring it back for a vote. Madam Secretary, will you do a roll call vote?
Yes, so for the HRC representative for the next upcoming term, I will go ahead and do a roll call vote. That Commissioner Garcia,
Aye.
Commissioner Morrissey,
Aye.
Commissioner Nguyen,
Aye.
Commissioner Fan,
Aye.
Commissioner Rivera,
Aye.
Vice Chair Contreras Leo, Chair McLaughlin.
Aye.
Motion passes by unanimous consent.
Thank you. Congratulations, Felix.
Thanks.
Okay. At this point in time, thank you for pointing that out, Sarah. At this point in time, we conclude the business calendar and we move on to staff comments. And Min,
Thank
do you have
you.
any staff
Thank you,
comments?
Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. I do have a brief, quick update. On Monday, August 3rd, the general plan EIR as well as draft elements was released to the public for a 45-day circulation period. It is a set of large documents that need time to digest, and therefore this past week I've asked our staff to send out the link to the planning commissioners as well as the historic commissioners for you to look at and start reviewing. We will also be reaching out to each commissioner and ask if you want to set up on a one-on-one with us, in addition to updates that we'll be having in future meetings. The first one will be with the City Council on August 18th, and then the Planning Commission on the 24th. Between now and the 24th, as I mentioned, Sarah will be reaching out to you and confirming a time if you would like to sit down one-on-one with staff to discuss the EIR and the general plan and any questions you may have. That concludes my comments for this evening, and congratulations to Chair McLaughlin, Vice Chair Leo, and as well Commissioner Felix for your nomination and selection.
Thank you, Min. Any other staff comments at this point in time? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move to Commissioner comments, and we'll start with Commissioner Garcia.
Yes, I just wanted to apologize. I think, Min, I called you mine earlier. I apologize. It's only Monday, so my week is going to be tough apparently, so I apologize. And thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Morrissey.
All right, I just want to say congratulations to the commissioners who were re-elected to their positions. Also want to thank staff for their thoughtfulness in laying out the conditions for approval on some of these items, being sensitive to sound issues. I guess there's some lessons learned from previous projects, and appreciate their sensitivity to that. And a lot of exciting things happening in Santa Ana. It's great to see new business coming to Santa Ana, so a lot of good things happening.
Thank you, Commissioner Morrissey. Commissioner Nguyen.
I just want to echo Commissioner Morrissey and to congratulate Chairman McLaughlin and Vice Chairman Leo, as well as the thank staff for the outstanding job. That's it.
Okay. Terrific. Commissioner Rivera.
No comments. Just thanks for answering some of the questions today. That's it.
Okay. Commissioner Fan.
I just want to thank everyone for volunteering as tribute to this Planning Commission and HRC. But really, thank you, staff, for answering all of our questions. Sometimes we definitely get into the weeds. But it's always helpful that you have these answers. And look forward to seeing you all at the next meeting.
Okay. Commissioner, Vice Chair Contreras.
Yes, thank you, staff, for this week in preparation. I think the slides were great. Everything was helpful in preparing for tonight. I also want to say, Sarah, please put me down for a one-on-one. I would like to do that for the general plan briefing. And thank you, and I wish you a great week to everybody.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Contreras-Leo. Thank you for everybody on the Planning Commission for your, as I said, continued confidence in my leadership. I appreciate that. I also want to thank staff for having the presentations to us ahead of time. I commented to Sarah that it's difficult to go through the presentation because it's time delayed and everything else. I think it was the presentations went a lot smoother this evening than they have in the past couple of weeks with the delay on YouTube and everything else. So thank you for doing that. And I look forward to participating in the final review of the general plan. I think we've got a lot of work ahead of us in that respect. But I think it's all going to be good for the city of Santa Ana. And again, everybody be safe. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting. And the next meeting will be held on Monday, August 24th at 5:30 p.m. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Good night. Good night.
Night.